Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the final stretch, the home straight, and just getting ready for our third speaker here at Brit Talks 2017 in Kosovo. I've used the opportunity of our break not just to have yet another scone, which, you know, the pinnacle, the perfection, the very best of British small cakes, but also to have a chat with some of the students here. And you know, I don't know, maybe some of them felt too shy to say to the ambassador that they didn't like it or that they weren't inspired. But I got a sense from the room that people feel that they want to do something, and that they're full of energy. And hopefully the speakers today will give them a sense that it's possible to take that first step. So before I take up too much time, we're going to turn to our third and final speaker, Adrian Davis. Adrian is a fantastic guy. I'm not going to list everything he's done in his work with the YMCA and the George Williams Youth Association in Kosovo, as it's known, because I just get it wrong. There's so much there, but it forms an extraordinary story of volunteerism and of activism that's affected many lives. Adrian, of course, like me, is also Klan Kosovas. And so I am sure for that you will give him an even warmer round of applause when he gets up on here. So, Adrian, over to you.
Thank you, and I have the really difficult job of following two excellent presentations with my own story, and it kind of brings everything together. But first of all, I just want to introduce myself. So it's Adrian or Adrian or Adi, depending on where you are in the world and what your alphabet is like. My name can change a lot. And I work for the YMCA, which is the oldest and the biggest youth organization in the world. Founded, of course, in London, England, in 1844. Today, in 119 locations around the world, reaching 58 million people. So what? I can see your faces. That's great. So what? You'll notice right in the middle of the map that Kosovo is there. And we have a YMCA in Kosovo. And we're very proud that we have a YMCA in Kosovo. And just because we are a global organization does not mean every YMCA has money. Doesn't mean we have millions of dollars. But the interesting thing about the YMCA was that George Williams of London was 22 years old when he started this. Now, some of you in the room are probably a little bit older, a little bit younger, maybe a little bit younger, looking at some of your faces, but 22 years old, he started this. And this, for me, is remarkable because 173 years later, we're still doing it and we're still being involved. So one thing about the YMCA is, in our history, it was built on volunteers. It was built on people with the same vision, the same mission as the leaders. A lot has changed in those 173 years. Some of you might have played basketball. The YMCA invented basketball. Some of you might have heard of the work the YMCA did during the Great Wars. Went into the refugee camps all the way around the world and got active with refugees from that period, from that time. We were at the front of the gym boom. So if you go to America or you go to Australia and you meet people, even Canada, meet people who can swim, they probably learn to swim in the YMCA because that's how big it was there. YMCA right at the front of those initiatives. If you've been to America or other places around the world, you've maybe been to a YMCA camp full of activities. You've maybe had friends who've gone on work and travel here in Kosovo. They might have gone to a YMCA camp. Again, the YMCA built these huge camps for young people, for children, for volunteers. Gyms, we were there. So all these guys you see doing fitness now and trying to be macho men, the YMCA revolutionized the gym scene in the 80s. We've changed a lot, but the one thing that hasn't changed is our reliance and our interdependence on volunteers. They are the heartbeat of the YMCA. Let me introduce myself now. That's what I do, that's what I work for. But I actually work for the World YMCA, but I am a volunteer here in Kosovo. I volunteer for the George Williams Youth Association, or the YMCA in Kosovo as we're known. And I volunteer because I love the YMCA. I love what it stands for, but also because of something that happened in my past. Like you guys, when I was younger, I kind of liked the idea of volunteering. Probably lots of volunteers out there. But I didn't really get involved in much. I just wanted to go and drink coffee with my friends, watch the football. I complained about how young people were never given the chance to do stuff. I said, young people should be decision makers, and I waved the flag, but never really got active. And then I met these two people. And there's another person, but she's not on the photo. These were my youth workers. Every week, they came and got me and took me to activities. They made sure we go on holidays, make sure that we got, that we were doing stuff for the community, make sure that we had food and drinks, and it was really cool because they were cool. They don't look cool, but they are cool. They were cool to me because they were the only older people who would listen to us. They were the only older people who really cared what we thought about things. They would drive, use their own money, their own petrol, all this kind of stuff. And they're great people. And hopefully they'll see the recording of this and know the effect they had on me. They paid a lot of money for me to go and volunteer in Africa, for them personally. And I stood there and I thought, how will I ever pay this money back? And the point was, it's not about paying them back. It's about paying it forward. And I committed myself from their influence to try my best to work with young people all over the world, to work with young people like yourselves. So for me, when I talk about volunteering, it's about something so massive happened in my life that so people like to go to the gym, people like to have different hobbies, but for me, volunteering is kind of the thing I do. It kind of defines me a little bit. And that's just because of the great experience I had, and that I want other people to equally have that experience. So, how did I end up in Kosovo? That is a story by itself. I'm from Manchester, England, not a Manchester United fans, for anybody wondering. Not Manchester United. But I met my beautiful wife, who's here, while I was volunteering for the YMCA. And I met her at an event. We dated, fell in love, wrote her poems, made her mix songs. You all know what I'm talking about. Paid for a coffee. When things got serious, we had to make a decision. Did she want a British passport, or did I want to come to Kosovo? And we talked about it a lot. And the decision we came to was, we can do more good in Kosovo than we can do in England, a bit like yourself. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. You heard Rob earlier. I had no idea what I was coming to. I came here with no job, not even knowing where Kosovo really was, if you want me to be honest with you, having no idea what language you spoke, and having no idea how much coffee you drink. This photo represents a project that's really close to my heart, because when I arrived here, I arrived with £100, and I give it to the YMCA, and I said, do something with it. And they made that £100 into about 10 food parcels, and we went down to some of the poor families in Pristina and give those food parcels. 4 years later, we delivered around 300 food parcels this year with an army of volunteers, with thousands of euros donation, because just like the YMCA Kosovo was founded with volunteers and volunteer spirit. So you can see here all those smiling faces and all that food that's going there. That's not the solution. And this is quite hard to understand sometimes, but if it helps somebody, then it's worth doing. And if we can help families just get through Christmas and New Year, then that's good. And that's something, it's not about being good, it's about being human. That's what we do. Why I like the YMCA is because I'm surrounded by people who keep me inspired. All these people you see are volunteers. They're all young, that's another point. Our whole organization has everybody under 32 years old. And that includes the board members, that includes the staff, that includes the strategic leaders. This is our assembly. And a lot of these smiling faces have come through YMCA programs. And one thing that I realized when I got here is there was no volunteer culture. People like to talk about, oh, do you want to come and wear a t-shirt and do an event? Great. But how do you volunteer every week? Where are your opportunities? There was a question earlier, how do I get involved? And what we had to do, we had to grow our own volunteer culture. How did we do it? I was trained as a youth worker. When I came here, I was told there was no youth work jobs. So that was kind of a bad decision from my side. But what we did was we realized that young people, just like George Williams, you can do things. You just have to put your coffee cup down sometimes. So what we did was we started with 10 to 15 young people. I can't say it was me, I was part of the process. We trained those people. We then told them to be trainers themselves. They then brought more people. 4 years later, we have 600 participants in this program. Weekly program of young people. These people you see right here, they all have their own groups. Every week they come and they meet. They are the peer trainers, they are the organization. They are, without a doubt, some of the best people I've ever met. And you know why? Because they put their coffee cups down and they came to the YMCA. When their friends said, nah, forget it, it's not worth doing, or, you know, I've got an uncle who can get us on an international opportunity, don't worry. All these guys came and got involved. They are the heroes. And the best thing for me is that just like my youth workers, years later I'm surrounded by young people who are just grateful that you give them a cup of coffee and some time. And when I tell you this, it's about you guys moving mountains because you can do it. We started with 10 people 4 years ago and £100. Today we are one of the biggest youth organizations in Kosovo across 3 cities, not in the capital before you ask, not yet. But the point is that these people, you can see they're in the school uniform, they come straight from school. When we talk about getting people active, it's a reality. When young people say we want to lead or you're not taking us serious, prove yourself. All these organizations down here, we will stand up and advocate for young leaders like yourself. But you know what? You have to meet us halfway. Because the establishment, they're waiting for you guys to fail. They're waiting for you guys to go, do you know, I can't be bothered. And when you guys move, you can move everybody. So this is my Jakova group that I'm very proud about. They're all off doing other things now, but they will tell you themselves that the time they spent leading stuff, the skills that they developed, you can't teach that. You can't teach that. I also do a lot of interviews for the YMCA. And one thing that I've learned doing interviews is if you walk in and tell me that you've got a degree or a master's and that's all you've got to tell me, you're not getting the job. There are 14-year-olds now who could tell you, yeah, I have my own group. Yeah, I'm active 3 times a week. Yeah, I volunteered for this event. Yes, I've been to this place. Yes, I did this opportunity. There's 14-year-olds in my organization that would make other people's CVs look terrible. Why am I telling you this is because it didn't happen overnight. Volunteering is hard. Volunteering is tiring, and volunteering is frustrating. There might be times there's a policy that you don't agree with. There might be times where you feel you're not treated too fair. I get it. I'm also a volunteer. I'm not showing you this to show off. Believe me when I say that, because I've got a bigger point. Recently, our organization, through the British Embassy and through D4D, went through an audit of what our volunteers were worth to the organization. You can see this is just 1 month. 98 volunteers, 2,792 hours, monetary terms, nearly 20,000 is what they were worth. I think that is an understatement. I think that's being really conservative. Because What you guys need to realize is you're trying to get skills and you're trying to be develop yourself and maybe get an opportunity. But organizations like ours, we really need you and we really value you. We don't have 20,000 every month to pay our staff. We cannot reach the numbers of people that we are reaching without peer trainers, without scouting trainers, without performing arts trainers. So the point for this is, you were asking earlier about how do we get a piece of paper to recognize. You guys give the value to volunteering by just turning up. And if your organization's not saying to you thank you, or what do you want to do next, then find another organization. It's very simple. When we talk about our volunteers, we're proud of them because they are the YMCA. Each one of them has their own group. Each one of them can move and do community service. Each one of them turns up 2 or 3 times a week at our different centers in Pjesa, Unic, Jakova. Maybe they don't have anything else to do, or maybe they feel valued. I'll let you decide. But I'm going to tell you something right now. They're a little bit younger than you guys, but when they get to your age, they'll have CVs with so much more on it. And this is not about you guys didn't do anything or anything like that. It's about, I was also a volunteer, and I started at 18. It's never too late to start. But find your passion, find your team, find your cause, and also value yourself. The thing that frustrates me the most is when young people turn up to my organization and say, I want to volunteer. And I say, what do you want to do? And they say, I don't know. Okay, if you don't know, how do I know? Think about your interests. Think about your skills, because we can use them all. We need people who know how to do PowerPoints and presentations and how to do social media. We need people who can speak and energize people. We need people who can help sweep up and make the tea and coffee. We need people who can lead dance and drama. We need people who can play football and organize a game. We need those. So my message today is about valuing yourselves and the effort that you're giving. And if your friends turn around and say, yeah, but we're just going to sit here in the coffee bar, leave them to it. You can go back, they'll still be there in an hour, trust me. It takes a long time for coffee here. I'm going to finish in a minute or two. And I had a lot of stuff planned that I didn't say because I went off in a different direction, and that's okay too. But I want you to look at these faces of these young people. These are our youth ambassadors. And these are young people who were involved at a local level, whether in Pjesa, Jakova, Unic, Kosovo. And they are now ambassadors for our organization. And we're very proud of them. And why are they ambassadors? Because they came to the YMCA so often that when they came to Pristina and there wasn't a YMCA, they didn't know what to do. They still wanted to volunteer, but where do I go? How do I get active? So we made them ambassadors. And the point is, if I had one message today, you as volunteers who are giving your time, you never know the impact that you're going to be giving. If you were to ask me 4 years ago when I arrived with £100 and 10 young people, if I could stand here today talking to you with 700 youth in the organization across 4 cities, well, I would tell you you were crazy. It starts and it ends with you. And I can see people some people look sleepy. I know it's time for coffee, don't worry. If you don't want to volunteer, that's fine also. You find your own way. But if you find a cause and you believe in something and you find something that inspires you, you will never know the impact that you have. So, I'm going to end. My name is Adi Davis and I'm a volunteer here in Kosovo. I love it. I will continue to do it. And I hope to see you all very active everywhere and anywhere. Thank you very much.
Right, for the last time today, so your final opportunity, if you've got burning questions, and after that, I certainly do, so good ones.
Okay.
Now's your opportunity. So, looking around to the room, who's first? There's someone in the middle with a hand poised.
She's in the YMCA. She should not play that.
Hello again. Mr.
Hi
Davies.
again.
I was a part of YMCA back in Pjesa, and about these last 6 months, I came here in Pristina. I sensed that I really missed being a part of YMCA. So my question about you is, when are you planning to expand YMCA in Pristina too?
Sure. It's a good question. And somebody once asked me, why is there a YMCA in Kosovo? And the real answer was because there needs to be a YMCA in Kosovo. And what I would say to you is, there's a whole group of you guys who've come from other cities who are here, and if I have to come all the way from Jakova to start something, my challenge to you guys would be, let's start something together, and why don't you guys be the leaders? Okay, so I threw that back to you. So thank you. The answer is, we hope to have something in the next few years. All right? Any more questions? Don't be scared. Yes, please.
Hi again. Actually, the question was for the lady, but since she sat and we're having the same theme, I'm just going to ask. Okay. What's the deadline to know that your passion is not going to be your passion anymore? Just because it doesn't work in about 5 years, you push yourself, you do everything you can, you cannot find people who have the same interests as you have. So what's the deadline? How do you know that your passion is going to be your forever passion? Or is the question that we need to change the passion if it doesn't work in about 5 years? Is it clear, or I just messed it up? So what's the deadline if we do something and it doesn't work in about 3 or 5 years? Are we the ones who have to keep on doing that anyways, or change the passion?
I think it's more of change the plan, not change the passion. And you'll notice during my talk, it was not about me, even though I was asked to speak about me. I tried to say we a lot. And I think what you need to do is you need to have a group of people that can each, like the Olympics, can take the baton and run when other people are feeling tired and burnt out. And I think the best thing, the advice I hope you've heard all day is everybody was saying we, because there is a whole team that goes into these things. And if you're out there trying to do it yourself, then maybe you need to think of we a little bit more. Does that answer your question? Not really?
Yes, but what if we don't find people who help us, who don't have the same interest as us?
So there was always people who have the same interest. You might just have to cast the net a little bit further. Okay? Good question, though.
I think we've got time for one more, if anyone else has got something.
Yes?
Super, right at the back. You have better eyesight than I do. This is what happens if you're young. You can see better than us oldies.
Hello everyone, my name is Arlinda. You said that volunteering is tiring, but how do you feel after every volunteering job that you do, even if you know that you help many people and you push them in light?
So I think you answered it yourself. If you help people, then the tiredness is worth it. So I didn't say it in my presentation, but I actually received an award for, I think it was something like 5,500 hours of voluntary time since I arrived in Kosovo. And that was hard, but the point is, would I do it all again? Absolutely. Why? Because I feel like I do now, and you can see the results yourself. So again, it's about supporting yourself with a network of people who keep you motivated. When you're all tired and you go for a beer or a coffee or a glass of wine together, and about celebrating success.
Adrian, I just want to say, Ardi, I just want to say thank you for joining us today and sharing those views. Promoting your organisation, but I think that wider culture and giving us a sense of your own journey. So thanks a lot for joining us, and best of luck to you and all of those ambassadors that you have. It's good not to be the only one. So good luck.
Thank you very much.
Right, we're nearly at the end, so you can breathe a sigh of relief. But I wanted to share something with you. And so the question on my mind, and I hope in some of your minds as well, is what's next? Okay, so I'm just going to assume that everyone listened to Rob, Johanna, Adrian, nearly Adrianed him myself, and thought, this is great. You know, these are great things, but what am I meant to do about this? I mean, what's next? I'm going to share a little secret with you, because it's hard, right, to take that next step. It's hard to, say, right, I care about this thing, but, I'm 18 years old. What am I going to do about it? How can I put myself forward? I'm cripplingly shy. I find it extraordinarily difficult to speak in front of people. I find it even harder to meet new people. I almost feel physically sick. When I do it, I'm so shy. And I'd struggled with it my whole life. Hold back until someone once told me that John F. Kennedy, former president of the US, was also terribly, terribly shy. Hated meeting new people. And before every time he had to meet people, he told himself, I know what I know, you know what you know, and I'm happy to be here. I bet that every person in this room, and all of the, 500,000 people we've reached on Facebook today, I'm not sure how much I believe Facebook analytics, but they say 500,000 people, and if we've met just one person in Facebook, it's enough, because I'm sure that everyone listening has something that he or she can do, that he or she knows, that he or she can teach someone that no one else can. That you are the best person to do that. And I'm sure that for every person that's there, who's got that skill, who's got that contribution to be made, there's someone there, either, as Rob said, next door, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Kosovo, somewhere in the world, there's someone who needs that, and there's someone who'll benefit it. So for every person, you can take that step. And if you're shy, it's okay, because most people are shy. If you think you can't do it, that's okay. Because you know what? A lot of people think they can't do things. We all have that friend who thinks he can do everything. A bit strange always. But most of us have doubts. But what you've heard today from three really inspiring speakers, and whom I'm really thankful that they gave our time, is that anyone can make a difference. Anyone can take that first step. And yeah, it takes a bit of courage, and it takes a step forward, but do it. Something you care about, no one else is going to change that if you don't. So before we end, I want to thank, once again, in this order, I want to thank everyone here today for coming and spending their time listening to us, and on Facebook, and the viewers of Klan Kosova who spent their time here listening today. I'd like to thank our sponsors, in particular our gold sponsors, Banco per Business and Meridian Corporation, for their support for this and for the whole of the Queen's birthday celebrations today. But most of all, I'd like to thank our three speakers, Rob Wilton, Johanna Georgiala, and Adrian Davis, for sharing some quite personal experiences with us. And I'm sure if they've inspired just one person to go and do something, well, that's one more step towards changing the world. So join me, please, in a big round of applause for them all. Right, everyone, that is the end of Brit Talks for 2017. We will look forward to speaking to you again in 2018, but for this time it's been a great honour to be celebrating Her Majesty's birthday here with you all. I wish you all a great day, and once again I should end with God Save the Queen.